So my name is Emily Patterson. I work at Grantek. I'm part of the distribution team here today, and I am just going to be kind of starting out the webinar. I'll be going through the slide deck with everybody, and then I'll also be in the back end collecting any questions that you have and relaying them to our presenters. On the call today, we have a few different speakers, as a lot of you are aware of those who joined, and I'll be introducing them to you in a couple minutes. So you'll be hearing from Grantek directly regarding Systek Solutions products. You'll be hearing from Extronics, Biometrics, and Pepperl+Fuchs. So again, we'll just wait a couple more seconds. I see we have quite a few people joining, which is wonderful, and then we will dive right in. I guess we can probably get started. So again, thanks everybody for joining. If you are just joining us, welcome, and we'll get started with everything. So to kick things off, we thought we would do a little bit of an intro of everybody that you will be hearing from today. So the first speaker that you'll be hearing from is Erik Hasty, and he is a business development manager here at Grantek. Erik comes with a background in pharmaceutical and biotech sales, as well as sales management, and Erik is located in North Carolina. He also specializes in GMP and manufacturing clean rooms. And he also, a little fun fact about him, was a state title pole vaulter. So if you're interested in pole vaulting or you would like to get into pole vaulting, Erik will be your go-to to speak to about that. Next up, we have Marc Diament, and Marc is the CEO and founder of Iono Biometrics. He has an extensive background in business development and product management for emerging technologies. Marc is located in New Jersey. And another fun fact, he spends some of his free time as an Argentine tango dancer, which is very exciting and a cool fact that I didn't know. So that was fun to learn about. We'll move on to our next presenters. So next up, we have Justin Olivier, and he is joining us from Pepperl+Fuchs as a product manager located in Houston, Texas. Justin has a background in account management, product management, and technical support. Has 15 years of experience with the Ecom instruments, so really great knowledge that he'll be able to share with you all today. And he joined P&F when Ecom was acquired back in 2017. And last but not least, we have Chris Sadler, who is the VP of Americas from Extronics. Chris has a background in control and automation within oil, gas, and the chemical fields. Chris is currently stuck in the UK due to the pandemic, so he's been waiting to make his journey to the US, but he will eventually be setting up shop in the office in Houston, Texas. So just a quick little overview of each of our presenters today. Next up, I just wanted to go through some housekeeping items that I wanted to review really quickly. So we know everybody attending obviously has a very busy schedule and things pop up. But when possible, try to minimize distractions. I know that can be a challenge. If you were to miss anything, don't worry. You'll be receiving a recording of this webinar once it's available. Feel free to take notes as we go through each presentation. There's a lot of valuable insight in here that will be beneficial to you and your organization. And then please provide feedback as well where you see fit. We're always looking to make these experiences better for everybody. So if you do have feedback, then let us know. And last but not least, on the right-hand side of this screen, you should see a chat window. If you do have any questions, just pop them into that chat window directly, and then we'll address them as they come up either during the presentation or during the Q&A session at the end. We would obviously love to hear from you. So again, don't hesitate to reach out with any questions. One thing to note, which I think will give everybody a little bit of peace of mind, is all questions are private and only seen by our team. So not everybody on this call will see those questions as they do come in. So we'll try to get to everybody. If we don't hit all the questions during the presentation, don't worry, we'll certainly reach out to those that we weren't able to cover off, just depending on timing with everything. One more slide from me before I head off, just a little bit about what we're going to be covering off today. I'm sure if you're joining, you're well aware of what you're expecting today. But each presenter and each speaker will speak for about 10 minutes or so. Erik Hasty from Grantek will be reviewing a little bit about hazardous areas to kick us off, and then he'll be going through Systek Solutions GMP IT hardware. Marc will be reviewing Integral's Biometric Authentication. Justin will be reviewing Pepperl+Fuchs Hazardous Area barcode and RFID scanners. And then lastly, Chris will be touching on Extronics Hazardous Network and radio communication enclosures. Like I mentioned before, we're going to close out the session with a question and discussion period. So as we go through everything, please submit any questions that you have. I know some of you had submitted questions prior in your registration. So like I said, we'll try to get through everything today. And if we don't, then we'll certainly reach out. Next up, I'm just going to hand it off to Erik, and we are going to get started into what you all got here for. Erik, I think you may be experiencing maybe the same issues that I was.
There we go.
Justin, I'm not sure if it's.
Hey everybody, this is Erik Hasty. It's great to be here. Good afternoon for joining our webinar. I'm going to basically talk about a few things with regard to what is a hazardous area. We're going to talk about some Systek Solutions, actual hardware. First slide though, what is a hazardous area? And it's really, it's basically defined as an area which atmosphere contains or may contain insufficient quantities, in large quantities or insufficient quantities, flammable or explosive gases, dust, or vapors. And basically in such an atmosphere, a fire explosion is possible when those three basic conditions on the right are met. It's really referred to as the combustible triangle as well. Again, this is just basic background knowledge just for everyone's information. Next, Tim. These are some hazardous environment zones, really zone 0, zone 1, and zone 2. In North America, hazardous locations have traditionally been defined by a combination of classes and divisions. Zone 0 is an area in which an explosive gas atmosphere is present continuously or for long periods, essentially. Zone 1 is an area in which an explosive gas atmosphere is likely to occur in normal operations. And Zone 2 is an area in which explosive gas atmosphere is not likely to occur in normal operation. And if it does occur, will only exist for a very short time. So that's really the zones, how they're classified. This is a very simplistic slide. I wanted to keep it very simple, and I think this slide does a pretty good job of doing that. Next slide, Emily. A little bit about Systek Solutions. Our Grantek is actually the exclusive distributor of Systek Solutions hardware, HMI hardware here in the United States and in North America. They're really the experts in GMP IT hardware. They've been around for a number of years, and they really are considered the experts there. We have the best-in-class IT solutions for pharmaceutical and hygienic production. Headquartered in Germany, in Karlsruhe, Germany. Clean room compatible, highly efficient. Stainless steel, they're IP65 rated, so it's all wash down ready, very smooth lines, no cracks, no crevices. There's really nothing to be able to catch dirt or liquid or bacterium. Very easy to wash down as well. Next slide, Emily. This is actually our HMI for hazardous areas. This is the Visunet. And really the beauty of this is its modular design, which I'm going to get into shortly. But just a few things about the Visunet itself. It does come in two sizes, a 19-inch and a 21.5-inch full HD display. There's the option to have a projective capacitive touch, multi-touch display as well. One thing I want to touch on too is it's modular. It's a field maintainable design, and as I'll talk to in just a second on the next slide, which we won't go to yet, but it's modular, and basically that means you have 3 separate units inside this one shell, so to speak, that are easily maintainable. We do offer it in both a PC and a thin client solution. The thin client solution is with the RM Shell 4. And it is certified for ATEX ICE EX Zone 121 and Class 1 Div2. And it has the LED backlit technology as well. These are IP66 rated, And again, wash down ready, very smooth in design, no cracks, no crevices, very easy to clean. Next slide, Emily. Want to talk real quickly about the Visunet, some of the technical features here. As I said, it's a very modular design. There's basically 3 modules within this internally. The display unit, which consists of the display, the touchscreen, and a hardened front glass smooth cover. The power supply unit, which is backpacked essentially, so it's panel mount, or standalone, which would be in the system enclosure itself, as this is showing you. CPU unit, the processor, the SSD, the RAM, the memory, EX circuits, the interface modules are all enclosed in that one CPU unit. And as I said, one of the key advantages of the Visunet is its modular design. And due to being modular, you can quickly replace components. You can independently, in the event of a fault, make field maintenance easy, and it really reduces costs with downtime as well. Again, no gaps, all smooth where liquid or dirt can accumulate, and very easy to clean and wipe down. Next slide. Kind of talked about this, but some of the key features and benefits of the Visunet. It is a full HD Zone 121 multi-touch panel. The glass on the front is seamless. So again, you don't have gaps. There's no grooves on it. It's a seamless glass front for best cleanability. Increased robustness of the touchscreen. And it really supports modern multi-touch user interfaces that you're going to be using with this unit. As far as the actual weight, it is a lightweight, compact design. It's about 23 or 24 kilograms. Easy handling during installation. Cost-effective mounting options as well, which we're going to get into shortly. And again, the modular design system, which is really field maintainable by the customer. The state-of-the-art RM Shell 4.1 is a thin client, and the EXTH2 keyboard variants for the GxP system as well. This really shows you the different designs of the Visunet as far as mounting, whether it's on a pedestal, different types of pedestals there in the very beginning, or in the very front and center there, I should say. You've got a wall mount there, the second from the left, with the attached glass keyboard. And then you've got a couple of display units. The one on the left, I believe, is the 21.5. The one on the right would be the 19-inch display. All EX rated. Next slide. Wanted to talk about some other products that are really fixed and mobile that Systek Solutions does offer you as the customer. Really talking about these, you can see on the left we've got a pedestal. Basically, it's a pedestal tabletop display without the keyboard. Again, these are all touch screens, so you don't necessarily need a keyboard. You can see the 16:9 design, the second from the right, or second from the left, I should say. And then we've got 2 trolleys, very popular items. The trolley trapezoid is the third one from the left with the scanner holder and the bar scanner on it. And then the trolley light 5-star is the final one on the right. Those are basically, it's a duplex where you've got 2 screens and a glass keyboard attached. So we really offer a lot of options, and that's really the beauty of this product, is we offer a great deal of options on the product itself. Next slide in. This really shows you a lot of the mounting systems from Systek Solutions. These are more of the fixed point type of mounts. I'm not going to go through these in great detail, but you can see starting on the left with the L tube, basically it just comes out from the wall. It does swivel around that coupling point. And then the U-tube, which is our most popular item, that comes away from the wall, but you can see it swivels on 2 couplings. So you can push it all the way flat against the wall. You can also pivot that keyboard down. So it really has a nice form factor. It's very ergonomic, and you can really tuck that away as needed. We have a 2-point fixation, which is rotatable again. And then the ceiling mount, especially popular for some of the larger displays that we do offer up to 55 inches. Some of the duplex options on the bottom left and second from the left there, as you can see. We do offer a pedestal table mount. I think we kind of basically saw a picture of the pedestal without the actual tube on the previous slide. And then we offer a direct wall mount, which is exactly that. It mounts directly to the wall. The keyboard would go into the wall as well. So again, I want to emphasize there's a lot of options with Systek Solutions that we can offer you. Some of the accessories that we do have at Systek Solutions, we offer hygienic keyboards. You can see here we have a glass keyboard and we have what's called a membrane keyboard or a polyester film foil keyboard. Essentially, you know, if you're going to be typing for long periods of time, I would recommend probably the glass keyboard, but it's really a matter of feel, and that's the beauty. We offer both of these for customers that prefer one over the other. We have a scanner box where it holds scanners into cradles, and then we offer printer boxes as well. Again, IP65 rated. All of this is IP65 rated, so it's wash down ready. Next slide. And finally, I wanted to show everyone just some application photos. These are real world photos that we've got from customers showing some of what we do offer. The top left slide there is an excellent slide that shows really all of our displays on our trolley options. You've got the trolley trapezoid, you've got the 3-star, you've got the 5-star, and then you've got the 5-star duplex. So the options are there. The center at the top is the direct wall mount, mounted directly to, it looks like to be a pilot. And then the one on the right is actually a trolley maxi. That's an excellent product in that it does store and hold quite a bit. The bottom is actually on wheels, but we've actually put stainless steel runners throughout the bottom on this for a more fixed type of location HMI. And then the center on the bottom is the famous U-tube that we do offer. Again, you can see how it's pushed against the wall there. Very intuitive design. And then the one on the left there is also a U-tube. You can see it's actually got the keyboard attached with what's called a dual torque hinge. And then a printer box that's actually built into the wall there as well. So we do offer quite a bit of custom solutions as well and options. And next slide. Great. I would like to bring up Marc Diament from Integral Biometrics. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marc Diament, and our company, Integral Biometrics, has been providing validated biometric solutions for GxP manufacturers for the last 18 years. Last year, our product was named Johnson & Johnson's global standard solution for biometrics in their factories and deployed on a global enterprise-wide platform. We have happy customer sites in North America, South America, and Europe, and many of which have been in production from 8 to 18 years. So we have a lot of experience making these products work and supporting customers. Next slide, please. The challenge our customers face is repeatedly authenticating to numerous automation systems while gloved, goggled, and gowned. Each system has different keyboards, touchscreens, and password requirements. Plus, users are encumbered by various protective gear, restrictive environments that make typing and interacting with these systems harder. This leads to login repeats, lockouts, and the legendary password post-its. These challenges wear down a worker's patience and increase stress. This is a formula for frustration, failure, and friction. Next slide, please. We can do better, and biometrics is better. Authentications at a glance, or a touch, or a swipe are a huge improvement that makes the lives of factory workers much better and improves compliance. Our products offer a unique benefit: happy workers and happy management. Happy workers are more productive and produce greater quality. Management is made happy by market improvements in compliance, security, and productivity. Could you go back slide, please? Thank you. You might notice that this graphic on the screen looks like a video game. Well, it is. Another challenge faced by our customers is introducing new technology like biometrics into more traditional organizations. Our custom video game is designed to introduce biometrics into the operation in a fun and strategic way to facilitate change and also train users on this new technology. As we know, introducing change and new technologies is usually pretty challenging. Let's go forward 2 slides. Okay, let's take a look at our high-level solution here. We offer what we call a biometric authentication integration platform. We enable logins, e-signatures, and password management via biometric matching with selected sensors and technologies in a common platform integrated with the most common applications on the shop floor, such as manufacturing execution systems, ERP, training compliance, HMIs, doc management, and lab information systems. Next slide, please. Integral has been working for 18 years to build automation integrations with leading suppliers of manufacturing automation systems. Verum PASX, SAP, Rockwell Pharma Suite, Siemens Camstar, JDE, and Wonderware are all some products that you may recognize and be using in your facilities, and we have integrated these applications. We also take our learnings as we integrate each new technology, and we codify these methods into a collection of toolkits and navigators that are designed to deliver rapid integrations. By rapid, I'm talking about 1 to 3 days of work for most integrations. Of course, that doesn't include testing and validation, as we all know. Our platform primarily supports systems running in Windows environments and can support Windows native applications, web browser applications, Electron apps, Java apps, and web service enabled apps, to name a few. We support systems with and without Active Directory support, and currently support environments such as J&J's global network, which also includes multiple Active Directory domains. Next slide, please. Our company focuses on quality, compliance, and reliability. As the front door to critical factory workflows, we make sure we regularly oil the hinges and test for squeaks. We also deploy our metrics tool to all sites to monitor and report on key performance indicators to proactively identify and pinpoint system issues to enable rapid response to potential issues. Our goal is to try to catch the issue before the floor notices it. Our system is also supported by centralized application servers to maintain CFR 21, Part 11, and Annex 11 audit logs, and a custom configuration app that allows customized configs to be maintained by customers to facilitate site additions and system changes. This tool enables web-based customization for languages, keyboards, and management of performance settings, and some application integration parameters. Our goal is to maximize globalization and reliability while minimizing validation and change management, thereby reducing cost and time to production for our customers. Next slide, please. Our products offer a rapid return on investment. Everyone likes that. Our customers have conducted Kaizen studies over the years to determine the cost of manual logins, e-signatures, multi-e-signatures with regular keyboards and with touchscreens and other specialized keyboards. In clean rooms and ATEX environments, these numbers go up due to specialized equipment and protective gear. We found in regular work environments that our solutions eliminate 2.5 weeks of labor per employee per year. And in places like shared packaging lines, where changeovers impact downtime during reconfigurations, which require many authentications or e-signatures, we have delivered significant productivity gains of 6 or 7% by speeding up changeovers by 3 to 4 minutes. If you consider the added value of eliminating lockouts and other authentication-related delays, a strong value proposition seems clear. Next slide, please. We work with specific sensors that we have tested, identified, tested, integrated, and validated. The iLock iris sensor is a cost-effective and fast device that, when mounted, offers fast and reliable shared matching. By shared, I mean users share a single device on a workstation. With Iris Biometrics, every person is unique in the world. We are collaborating with iLock on a next generation sensor that will be smaller, cheaper, and even faster. This is an early prototype. It will be even faster at matching than the current solution. We expect this to be available early next year and will be backward compatible with existing user enrollments. We have a device to show demos if anyone's interested at another time. The digital persona HID fingerprint sensor for non-gloved solutions is a low-cost, fast, and reliable. We also support Lumidyne finger vein sensors and capacitive sensors. Our custom RAD device offers a unique integration with legacy HMI systems. For example, older equipment that you don't want to upgrade or replace, but have systems that do not support Windows operating environments. This introduces a pretty unique and challenging integration, but we have a solution for this. Please reach out to us if you would like more information on this sort of thing. We've also recently developed a solution for smart card or RFID-based authentication. This will support wearable bands and smart card RFID tech-based tokens and devices. With our platform approach, we can offer a unique multi-factor biometric authentication by mixing and matching biometric and smart card identification modes to offer an enhanced two-factor authentication experience. Next slide, please. This video will show a little demo of using our iris sensor to authenticate. It's really that easy. This video was filmed at Pharma's headquarters while we were working to integrate their PASX product. And as you can see, it's pretty quick and easy to work with. You also might notice that there's a mount. The mount actually reduces time in the user's work, so they don't have to lift the device and position it in front of them. We're always looking for ways to optimize. Next slide, please. The Iono Suspend, which is a recent addition to our environment, offers a wearable that can be worn under a gown and is activated via palm vein biometric match to a matching template that's stored directly on the band. Once a worker matches and activates the device, it is then enabled for authentication with our platform. Next slide, please. The Iono Suspend stays activated until it's removed from the wearer. It monitors this connection with multiple sensors, including a magnetic clasp, galvanic skin detection, and heartbeat liveness detection. The device also stores the user's biometric matching template directly on it, so once provisioned, it can only be used by the assigned user. Next slide, please. For ATEX environments, there are no iris sensors on the market that are designed explicitly for ATEX or clean room environments. Enclosures and mounts must be used to make them safe. We have identified an enclosure that will house the iris sensor in ATEX environments, and we've tested matching with this enclosure and various multi-layered protective eyewear. The enclosure we have selected uses 1/4-inch lime glass to enable a clear view for the sensor. We've tested this glass independent of the enclosure and using the enclosure. We've also tested with 1/4-inch and 1/8-inch plexiglass to stimulate common clean room enclosure materials. Next slide, please. In addition to testing with enclosures, we've tested with a diverse population of users and protective gear and multi-layers. Our customers have been kind enough to send us the different gloves, goggles, and gowns that they use so we could test with them. We also test with a diverse population of users with different backgrounds and ethnicities and colors. These have been very successful in matching with all sorts of gear, even multiple layers of eye and face protection. We've tested with actually 3 separate layers of protection on the person, two different goggles and a hood, plus also a barrier such as the lime glass and or plexi between the sensor and the user. And this all has worked. Now, on some subjects, we don't have such luck. We've discovered that dogs apparently don't work well with iris sensors. Thank you for your time and attention. We believe everyone should be using biometrics as a competitive advantage, and we're here to help you make that a reality and help everyone, once and for all, forget passwords. And with that, I'd like to introduce Justin Olivier. Thank you very much.
just me, but I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing and or seeing you. So maybe just hop off the stage and then hop back on. Maybe one more time, Justin. Still having a little bit of an issue with that. Hey, Mike.
Hi. When Justin gets here, this is what he's going to be talking about. Justin, once you go on stage, you also have to unmute and open up your camera. So there's actually 3 clicks to get there. There we go.
You got me now?
We got it.
Great, perfect. So thanks for jumping in real quick while we solve the technical issues. Once again, my name is Justin Olivier. I'm the product manager for Ecoms Instruments. Emily, if you want to go ahead and go to the next.
We lost him again.
Justin, we lost you.
With some technical issues, we can always jump ahead and we can move to Chris Sadler and always come back to Justin. Yeah. Still experiencing some issues. Sorry, everybody.
I'll jump out too, and we can switch over to Chris.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
so we'll
jump in.
Okay,
that's great. I'll have some more time now. Fantastic. Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you all. Yeah, so we're a new group working with. It's great to be working with Grantek, and I'm here today to something for the IT guys, the OT guys, folks, deploying wireless equipment into hazardous or classified areas. So we've got a long history of dealing with these OSHA regulated industries, navigating the standards and the codes. So just jump to the first slide. Next slide. Yeah, so as you can see here, I'm going to be talking about wireless network solutions, or what we call wireless network solutions. But as a business, this is all we've been doing, a number of different areas. Again, working with the standards and codes, designing and selling equipment into hazardous or classified areas for probably about 20 years. So we've got a long history of wrestling with the notified bodies in the various world regions, ATEX, ICX, and the good old Class Div system in the US and Canada. So we'll move to the next slide, please. So what am I here to talk to you about? What's the challenge that we can solve with this solution? So basically, at a very high level, so if you've got teams or groups that have designed a wireless network, a Wi-Fi network indoors in the office, works really well. You've got all your Cisco licenses or Aruba licenses, you've got your controllers, and then somebody from operations or at the business comes to IT and says, hey, I need a tablet in the production area, but it's classified, it's a hazardous area. If you're unlucky, it might be Class 1 Div 1. If you're a bit lucky, it might be Class 1 Div 2. And so what we'll enable is to take away that certification hassle. You can use your existing kit that you've designed in the safe area and move it into the hazardous area. And we can work with most radio technologies, and everything from Wi-Fi access points to UHF readers. Sometimes you need to deploy those in the hazardous area. If you just can't get the antenna in, you need to put the whole thing in the area. LTE cellular routers, if you just want a little hotspot, IoT gateways. There's a real, this area is really increasing quite rapidly in recent years, and we've been doing it for a while. So let's move to the next slide. So this is a kind of visual picture of the end result. It's a box, Chris. Yeah, that box, that enclosure system, took 2 or 3 years to design and engineer, so that it would empower us as a business to be able to take standard kit that you can buy for any industrial process and deploy it into the hazardous area. There's all kinds of rules and regulations that you have to navigate in order to do this. So we have taken away the complexities and just allowing you to end up with a box, an enclosure that you can install in the hazardous area like you would any other piece of equipment. And I'll show you quickly how we do that if you're interested. So let's move to the next slide. Oh, well, this slide is just sort of showing that the classified areas or hazardous areas are defined by all sorts of standards and codes in different world regions, and we can cope with all of them. In the US and Canada, well, certainly in the US, the code book, the NEC 500-505 code book is 120 years old. It's the most widely used code book ever. It's got 1,369 pages. There's a couple of, there's about 10 different articles just to do with classification of areas and how you need to install equipment into those areas. So it can be quite challenging if you're not particularly familiar with that kind of world. All right, next slide, please. So what I've got here is an overview of how we do it. You saw that picture of so this is a class 1 Div2. This is a division 2 enclosure system. So you've got a lot more flexibility in Div2. If you remember from the earlier slides, Div2 areas where a gas may or may not be present. It certainly isn't present for all of the time. So you've got more flexibility on how you do things. So you'll often hear intrinsically safe or a lot of terms floating around, but it's a protection method. And in the hazardous area, you've probably got, in the NEC codebook, there's 20 different protection methods you could use to deploy your motor or your switch gear or your control panel or your HMI, as we saw earlier with the Visunet. Or even the integral biometrics. You saw that was an EXD enclosure. We'll come to those in a minute. But so for Div2, we're using 3 protection methods: EXI, intrinsic safety; EXE, increased safety; and EXNR, restricted breathing. So this is why this took many years to develop. And the end result is we can again you can see some Aruba radios there on the right. It's just an example. It could be any manufacturer's radio into this enclosure and put it into a Div2. And then we as a business have got the flexibility to work with all sorts of different internal components like power supplies, media converters, fiber. We could even put another radio in there. You can put a sort of wireless Y-Heart radio in there. You could have 2 radios in one enclosure. The RF is intrinsically safe. That's the intrinsically safe part in this system. So you could use any antenna, directional, or omnidirectional, as long as they've been assessed. You do a simple assessment. So that's a Div2 system. So hopefully your production areas, you want to try and put a radio in the easiest area or even outside the area, but if you have to put it in a Div2, we've got a completely certified system that will allow you to do that. Next slide, please. This is a visual of the internal to get the concept. Here's inside the unit, and you can see the safe area is the bigger area, where we put the radio and its power supply and its PoE injector, whatever it needs. And you can see here in the bottom right, there's a little kind of box. That's the kind of terminal enclosures. That's an EXE junction box, as you'd find on any process site. So you can open that in the hazardous area. As long as the power's off, you can open that and terminate up to it, put your Ethernet cable in there, your power, your fiber, close it up. What you can't do is get inside to the radio unless you've removed the whole thing and taken it into the workshop in the safe area. So that's a Div2 solution. So if we move to the next slide, we'll move on to good old Div1. So Div1 in the US covers, you see the zones in the previous presentation, Zone 0 and Zone 1. So Class 1 Div1 covers both those areas. It's the most difficult area to get equipment in, and there's limited protection methods. The most famous and the one that's used most commonly in North America is EXD, or flame-proof enclosure system. Explosion-proof boxes. These are basically, it's an enclosure that's breathable. It's not airtight. The gas can go in if there's a gas present. Well, that box, if your radio inside it fails, ignites, gets hot, ignites the gas, and there's an explosion inside, the enclosure contains the explosion, doesn't let the flames come out out to ignite the gas around it. So that's where that expression comes from. And if you saw that little enclosure that the integral biometrics showed you, that's actually a flame-proof enclosure. The flame path is you're wondering why there's a massive thread. That's a flame path. The gas the flame can't get out. By the time it gets out, it's cooled and can't ignite the gas around. So just like the Div2 solution, we can put pretty much any radio inside. You've got intrinsically safe output, so you've got flexibility with the antennas. Again, there's some Aruba radios. So again, taking your indoor stuff, your carpeted office safe area equipment into the hazardous area using this Div1 solution. The next slide, please. We just look inside the Div1 solution, the IWAT 107 as we call it. You can see the certification label there on the right. That's very important. So that's ours, and that's been given to us by Met Labs, which is a nationally recognized testing lab, one of 15 that's regulated by OSHA. And here we've got flexibility, just like the Div2 solution, to put radios into Div1, and plus their power supplies, media converters, PoE injectors. Some radios have to have their own PoE injector. So that's really what we do. So it's very focused and niche presentation, just so that, you know, the takeaway is, if you want to put a radio into the hazardous area, there are quite a lot of laws around the RF output, its electrical safety. You can't just slap it in an EMA 4X box and put it in a Div2 as is quite common. That's not to code. Using one of these enclosure systems would bring anything you put in there, even if it's a little BLE to, or a LoRa gateway, BLE gateway, standard kit, and we can do that work for you. Yeah, so that's my presentation over with, and thanks for joining, everybody. I'll hand back to Emily.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen really quickly. I'm going to jump back to Justin's slides. So Justin, if you want to try to jump back in again, that would be great. I think you should be good to go now. And I'll just reopen this slide deck for everybody. So while we are jumping in. Awesome. Okay, I can see you now, Justin. Let me just share my...
okay, I think you can see me now, but I don't have audio now.
We can see you, and audio is perfect. Okay. Wonderful. I think everybody can see my screen again. Off you go.
Okay, I don't have audio on my end, but Emily, can you hear me?
We can hear you, yes. We can hear you.
Okay, great. We'll just go on from there. Sorry about that. Sorry, everyone, for all the technical issues. You know how it goes this day and age. Emily, you can go ahead and go to the next slide. I'll try and speed through things so we can get back on schedule here. So a little bit about Ecom and our history. Ecom was originally founded in 1986. In the beginning, we started off doing various measuring and calibration type equipment, but we were always focused on mobile devices that were certified for hazardous areas. So whether that was, ATEX with Zone 1 or Zone 0 or Zone 2, or then here when we moved to the US with Class 1 Division 2, we were founded in Germany. And then in 2017, the PNF group acquired us as their mobility arm. So PNF's goal was to be kind of the one-stop shop for anything hazardous area. And the mobility piece was the one piece that PNF didn't have. And that's when I came over to PNF. I'd been with Econ since 2006. So I've got a lot of experience in this space. So we can go to the next slide, Emily. So today we're going to talk a little bit about our IDENT EX01 barcode scanner, or RFID reader, depending on what you need. This is a really simple device. It's a Bluetooth device. It'll connect back to your PC, your tablet, your phone, basically any kind of Bluetooth connection you've got there. And the way this basically works is it's going to use either the HID protocol, which is hardware interface device, which is basically like a wireless keyboard for your PC. So when you're connected via that method, your PC, your phone, your tablet, whatever you're connected to, just sees the scanner as an external keyboard. And so whatever data that barcode scanner or RFID scanner scans will be automatically input as if you just typed it in. So it is a global certified device for Zone 1 and 21 and Div1 on one device. Like I said, it can be connected to any other device via Bluetooth. It has a really powerful battery pack for, like 12-hour shifts. I want to say it's somewhere around 10,000 scans, depending on which reader you're using, off of one charge. So, even really high volume scanning areas, the device is going to be able to make it through that shift no problem. And of course, it's, it's certified for Div1 and Zone 1. So it's a really rugged design. It's IP68. We've designed it to, handle drops and everything else that goes along with that. It also can do some scanning offline when it's not actively connected to another device, and store about 500 scans locally on the device that you can then retrieve later. That's not normally how it's used. Usually it's in that HID mode, or it can also be connected via a serial port profile. So a lot of customers are using these with a Bluetooth to serial adapter that's going back to their HMI or something like that and getting the data to their device that way. So next slide, Em. So just some specs on it. It is about 425 to 560 grams. We'll hold one up again here when we get done so you can kind of see it. It is a larger device. It's part of the Div1 rating with the mobile device, but it's still really comfortable in the hand. It's still really easy to use. The weight's not bad. There you can see 10,000 scans on one battery charge, 2 megabytes of offline memory. So again, about 500 scans when you're not actively connected. It's a class 2 Bluetooth radio. So that means you're going to get about 10 meters, 30 feet or so of connection to your other Bluetooth device. So you're not necessarily tied to just be right there. And the scan performance, it's going to depend on which scanner head you have on that. We're going to look at the options here in a second. But for RFID, it's going to be 1.5 meters with the UHF reader, and up to 15 meters with the 2D barcode head. So I mean, we go to the next slide now. So there you can see the different head modules available. So there's 2D barcode, 1D barcode, there's LF RFID, HF RFID. Oh, I think you lost me.
We did just.
Can you hear me now?
You're back.
Okay, sorry, my connection dropped for one quick second. So we've got LFID, low frequency RFID, high frequency RFID, ultra high frequency RFID, and then of course 1D barcode and 2D barcode. We do have some combination modules, depending on if you need to do RFID and barcode, but we can't do a combination with the 2D and the UHF. It's just too much space for what we call the head unit there. So one thing on the different reader heads, as we like to call them, those can be changed out, but it needs to be done in one of our service centers. So it's not something that an end user or anybody outside of a P&F service center could just remove that head and change it out. It's a really simple process. There's some reconfiguration that needs to take place, and just due to the certification, it does need to come in. But we have had customers that were using barcode and went to RFID, or the other way around. They'll send that in, basically buy the new scan head, and we can change those out and switch what technology you're using with this particular scanner. So we can go ahead and go to the next slide. And so then we've just got some different carrying options for it. The leather holster, hand strap, there's a lanyard. The docking station is really just a passive holder. So that could be something that's wall mounted or even mounted on an enclosure, and the device just sits in it. It would still use the standard charger. One thing with the mobile devices with the hazardous area rating, they do need to be charged outside of that hazardous area. So we call that a docking station, but it's really just a kind of a passive holder that gives you a way to hang the scanner on the wall there. And then of course, the last piece of the puzzle here is really the IDENT EX setup. So that's just a configuration app that we can use to change the settings, change which reader head we're using, change the way your data is handled. So if you need a post-amble after you scan a barcode to automatically move to the next field, you can configure that with the setup app. If you've got, there's some special barcode handling requirements of some of the data, we can handle all that. You can change which symbologies you can read with the barcode. Basically, any of the settings we need to do for the RFID or barcode readers are all handled through the IDENT EX setup app. That's available for Android devices as well as Windows. So we can do that on either one of those. And of course, with some of Ecoms' other mobile devices, in addition to the barcode scanner, it can be connected to that as well. Okay, so we'll go to the next slide. And then if we want to go ahead and hop back on camera with the IDENT real quick, so we can just take a look. I know we saw it earlier.
I'm here.
There it is. So yeah, you can see there at the top where you've got the blue Ecom logo. That's what we call the head module. If you turn that around to the back, that's where we label which type of reader it is there. And then of course the magnetic connector, which you were starting to show there. So the charging is done. It's a standard USB type charger, but it uses a magnetic charging port to clip on there. And we've switched to that on most of our devices because we saw that was the biggest failure rate, was that, kind of standard USB, micro USB or USB-C port now. So on a lot of our devices, we're switching to, I know everybody hates custom charging solutions because that's another cable you've got to keep track of. But for the devices and where the environments they're used, we thought that was really important to limit kind of a failure point, because that's where most of our repairs were happening. So that's why we have that charging port.
Better view of the operator interface.
Yeah, so you've got a trigger there on the top, a trigger on the bottom. You can use that SPP button to enter some of the different programming modes if you need to upgrade firmware and different things like that. It's all really simple through the setup app.
Good. And not very heavy, as you said. I don't know, what is it, a pound?
It's 400, 500 grams or something like that. But the weight's really well balanced. We put a lot of time in the design and effort to make sure it was still easy to carry and nice and balanced and things like that. So
good.
Okay. Emily, I think it's back to you now.
Wonderful. Thank you guys for going through that. We'll just go back and share our screen. I know we have a few minutes left with everybody, so thank you for sticking with us and continuing to watch this presentation. So what we're going to do now, again, thanks for everybody for joining and all of our presenters today. We really appreciate your time as well. We're going to open up the floor to any questions that anyone may have. I know a couple have come in that I want to go through with everybody. And again, if we don't get to your question right away, if we run out of time today, don't worry, we will be sure to connect with you after the webinar is over. So I know there may be some confusion with the chats that are going on right now, since everything is private. I'm sure it's a little bit confusing where these questions are coming from. But we did have a question for you, Marc, regarding the question was, each employee at my company has a fob and we have RFID readers on our door. Could those fobs be integrated to be read by the sensors provided by the company for personal authentication? So if you wouldn't mind just going through, I know you typed up a couple answers, but just reviewing that really quickly for anybody who may not have seen it already.
Yeah, and sorry about answering during the previous presentation. I realized afterwards that might not have been that nice. But we're currently working with the OmniKey reader, but we're not limited to this reader. So we should be supporting most of the MIFARE and DESFARE type of fobs and RFID tokens. We're using what we did was we used common Microsoft libraries that have been around basically forever to enable the reading of the devices, so that we got all the kind of common standards. So the question was about a prox key, and we're going to do a little research just to determine if that exact device is readable by the reader we've been working with. And then if not, we'll find out which reader will read it, and we'll take a look and see if that will work with the libraries that we've chosen. But we have a pretty broad compatibility with these libraries that we've chosen.
Sure. Do you support authentication against multiple AD domains?
Yes. So we support authentication in many different models. One being multiple AD domains. So we are currently deployed in such an environment at Johnson & Johnson, and they have about, I think, 5 domains across their network. Our solution is not dependent on an Active Directory authentication, nor on those domains. We do not install any components on the AD servers. We do have one solution that can be used to synchronize password changes from AD domain servers, where we put a script that is a trigger script, but that is not required for any of our solutions. We also do integrate with other applications, like, for example, PASX has 2 different models. They have their own authentication, 3 models, AD, and also they have a passwordless authentication, where they have an authentication service that we talk to on the back end, and there's no passwords at all in that environment. So we have a lot of different options there. You're welcome.
How do you calibrate or repair the Systek units within cleanroom environments? And do we need to move them out of those spaces directly? So if you wouldn't mind touching on that really quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay.
Yeah, we can hear you great.
Great. Well, really with the Systek, especially the waves, but with the Systek HMIs, regular calibration is really not necessary. It auto-calibrates every time it comes up. Basically, every time it's booted up, I should say. So it automatically calibrates itself. So it's really not necessary. As far as repairing, I mean, it really depends on the situation, on the clean room itself, how accessible is it, if there's other options available. It's probably always best to do it outside of a clean room, but you know, that's something we could assess on a case-by-case basis.
We close everything out. We did just receive a question on the mobile HMI solutions. What are the cable management options for clean rooms?
Great question. We do offer cable glands. I believe that's what the question is referring to here. We offer cable glands, but typically, you know, it's wireless, like your trolleys, your trolley light 5 stars, your trolley 3-star, your trolley trapezoids. They can be both wired and they can both be wireless. In fact, most of ours, really, most of my customers, they really run theirs wirelessly. And it's very robust. It's still IP65 rated, as opposed to having wires that are kind of dangling out and anchoring it.
Wrap up our questions. If you do have any questions that come to mind after the webinar that you think of, feel free to email us at info@grantek.com, and we will be able to answer any questions that you have. If we can't personally, then we'll be able to redirect you to somebody who would be able to assist you. Just a reminder to everybody, you will be receiving a recording of this webinar as well, so keep an eye out for that. And we just wanted to say thank you again so much for taking the time to sit with us today. I know everybody's busy, so an hour is kind of hard to get out of your day sometimes. So we really do appreciate it. And thank you again to all of our wonderful speakers who also took the time out of their day as well. Just as a last little tidbit, we are all active on LinkedIn, so feel free to connect with us. And like I said, if you do have questions, we are all available at info@grantek.com to be able to assist you with anything. So thanks again, everyone. We really appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.